Just doing a quick video on a power outage and power failure with a dead motorbike. Just to say, I'm not going to be covering engine starter problems on this video. Those are other circuits, there's other fuses involved there. Have a look on YouTube, there's some good videos on that, but this is just a dead motorbike. If you go to start up and you're getting nothing, my first recommendation is to check your ignition switch. It's a real quick check before you get into the battery and cables. You don't even have to get off the bike, it takes seconds. Just really slowly, micromillimeters, just put that up to the on position and then just back it off. That's what I was getting on this. I've just got the main switch off for demonstration purposes here, but what I was getting was nothing. But if I just backed it from the on position, it was making contact. So some faulty contact within the ignition. I've sorted that out with some graphite, and it's just because the bike is laid up a bit and just think it was a bit sticky. If you're still getting nothing after testing the ignition, get the side panels off or whatever your battery is. Take a look at your battery. Make sure your negative and positive terminals are all in tight and there's nothing untoward there. Get a voltage meter on it if you got one. I was getting a good 12 plus volts on this, so I knew the battery was good. If you haven't got a voltage meter, they're fairly small batteries compared to car batteries, so get your terminals off, get your strap off, get it down to your local garage. Most will check that free of charge, it takes seconds. If that all checks out, from your battery on the positive cable, that will be going into your starter relay. As I mentioned, I've just backed this one off because I'm doing one-handed. So from these lead wires behind there, you will have your main fuse, and in most cases, if it isn't the ignition switch, it's going to be the main fuse. Just pop that out. Just make sure on a visual check that that center contact is unbroken and you haven't got a blown fuse. Also, somewhere in this location, mine's just there in that rubber housing, you'll have a spare fuse. So swap the fuse out or get a resistance check on the fuse. There's other videos on using multimeters and ohms and resistance checks, so go there. If your fuse is okay up to this point, the next thing I would check is, I'll just grab the torch, a little bit dark in here. The next thing I check is the contacts on the starter relay themselves. As I say, you'll have the positive coming off, that's going in there, and just in there, if you can see that, that's the negative. Take a look at those, make sure those are in tight, then check your grounding points. That's the next check. So there's one there coming off the starter relay. That black cable going down there, that is going to a grounding point on the engine casing. On this bike, that's the first. The next grounding point is coming off the battery negative there. So show you those grounding points. They're just the other side of the bike. So that one there, that one's coming off. I just grab the torch. That one is coming off the battery negative. Just clean those up. Make sure again they're in tight. Clean them up with wire wool, wire brush. You can get another resistance check on that just to make sure you've got an unbroken ground negative cable from the battery. On this bike, the one that I mentioned is coming off the starter relay. It's just located here. Just follow the cable, those negative cables coming from the starter relay. As I say, you can get a ohms check on those just to do an end-to-end check. And that's pretty much it. That's the only thing really, if you check those, and you should get that sorted out. Okay, I hope it helps.